Welcome to May's technical meeting. Got an agenda here. Just go over it quickly. So just any training opportunities listed there. I think we've gone through each of these a few times. The last one is for in June. I have it on the calendar for the 4th, but I think we have a conflict, so I'm going to have to find. But it'll be the first week or two of June. I will. I'll set that date this week, and I'll reach out to coordinators and auditors. But we're going to have a training for auditors. I'd like the auditors to actually come be in the classroom, but we're going to go through and make sure all of our setup libraries are set up with the new fuel prices and just do some auditor training that pertains to the setup of the NEAT MIA audit. So anyway, I'll get in touch with the appropriate people on that. But are there any other? And then this lunch and learn was actually pretty good. I think Dalton attended. I caught half of it on. They do broadcast it on a webinar, so you don't have to go up there. But did anybody else attend that, the Dominion Energy lunch and learn in April, that had any input on that? Anyway, I felt it was valuable. This next one sounds good. Is it the next one? Or yeah, next one's mechanical ventilation, and then the one in June is commercial stuff. May be a little less pertinent, but if you're interested in those, reach out to Brian Camp. If you'll just send him an email and say, send me some info on the lunch and learn, he'll let you know about it. All right. The next technical meeting will be the first Tuesday in June, which is June the 5th. We had hoped to start doing field guide training as part of this meeting. And as Dalton and I spoke this month, we decided we better wait until we get finished with our approval from DOE. So we're not doing specific field guide training today, but it sounds like we will probably be starting that next month because our approval is moving through DOE very quickly on our field guide. So those are those two items. Monthly production. Actually, before I do the production, because I know Brad had an extra slide that I haven't had time to throw in. Wade, are you ready to do your part? Can I turn it over and have you present on the peer exchange debrief, and then we'll come back to the production numbers?
Sure. I don't have a slide, and I don't need the screen or anything. It's just a conversation. So if you want me to go, I'm ready to go.
If you'll do that, and I'll take a second to throw the slide in.
So anyway, as you all know, we went through the peer exchange training, our first attempt at it in the state of Utah. The feedback we've got overall, I would say 95% of the feedback was a good feedback, indicating that peer exchange was a good thing. One of the things I want to know is, any of you that are online here that participated, we would like your input. I mean, what did you guys think? Is it something that was a good thing, something you want to keep doing? I will be sending out after this meeting a survey where you can give us your input anonymously, but I know there are a few of you online that participated. What were your thoughts and your impressions of peer exchange?
I felt like it was beneficial.
In what
ways does anyone feel it was beneficial? Some of the key things I want to know is, that we want to know is.
Hey, Wade.
Yeah.
Doug.
Yeah.
Just in talking to some of the people that went, everything sounded really good. The only thing that I can say that some of them mentioned was they just felt it might be too long.
Right.
That some of the areas could have maybe been shortened down and to like a couple of days, and then after a while it's just they kind of feel like they're you know, just kind of hanging out there. So
And that was some of the feedback we got in the forums was there was a couple of comments about they felt it was too long. So we'll look at that again. At the end of the day, our goal with this is hoping to make this your guys' baby. Well, we'll always be here to facilitate it and help as needed. But you know, if you decide, hey, you know, I'd like my auditor to go to agency X for 2 days to learn this or that, that's certainly your guys' prerogative and choice to make.
okay.
Some of the key things that we want to know is, you know, did any agency implement something new after going to peer exchange? And of course, again, I'm going to send out a survey on this too. Say that again. All right, I thought someone had something to say. You know, was peer exchange a distraction? Was any agency able to produce more units because they had basically an additional employee for a week? Those are the kind
again.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to, I think one of the benefits we saw out of it is, and I'm not sure who came down, but worked with Tyrell on the HVAC and was able to, we had kind of gotten away from ECM motors because we weren't really had anybody that knew exactly how to implement them, but the gentleman or the person that came down here actually helped Tyrell out, so I think that was very beneficial.
Good. We did get a lot of feedback like that about, you know, God, we didn't know how to do this, or we weren't using that, or, you know, they have this cool form. And so there was, like I said, probably 95% positive feedback and 5% negative feedback. And some of the negative feedback was it was way too much time going for a week. There was a few other things, but okay. There are still a couple of people, they know who they are, and I will be getting in touch with them, who have not sent me their filled out checklist. So you know who you are. I'll be finding you. Other than that, I'll be sending out a survey today that you guys can fill out. And really, whether we move forward with peer exchange in the future or not depends on the feedback we get. If, you know, I send out this survey and one person sends it back, that tells me that no one's interested in peer exchange, and what's the point in doing it again? If we get back good feedback, good honest feedback, feedback that means something, feedback that we can use to really evaluate the effectiveness of this training, then we'll continue to pursue it in the next program year. So that's pretty much all I have on it. Anyone else is welcome to give us their input.
I've got a question for the, I guess, really everybody, but particularly for coordinators. So we had thought about next year including some of the more of the field staff. This really, we focused on coordinators, auditors, and QCI. How do you guys feel about that? Is that a good idea? Do we need to set the table in any way before we're ready to do that? What do you guys think?
I think it's a pretty good idea. My field supervisor went down and worked with, I think, Ian's window crew once, the furnace guy, and did some inventory. He learned a lot. He thought it was pretty beneficial.
Okay.
Yeah, his feedback was very impressive. He did a good job on his feedback from us, and indicated he did learn a lot, and it was good for him to go see, you know, how Ian's broken out into different sections, window guys, insulation guys, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that was one of the better feedbacks we got.
Yeah, I think it also would be beneficial to send the field guys out also, not just the auditors and those people. So I think that might even be more beneficial on that end, where they see how other people implement air infiltration and the things they do out in the field.
Okay. Another one that I got, that as long as we're asking, is they would like there was a request to see more admin people move around. So again, coordinators, what do you think about that? Having your admin people, intake people, that type of stuff, going to different agencies to see different processes.
I would not be opposed.
Sure. I thought we did, though.
We did one. So we had one admin person actually come to your agency, Ian, and she was very impressed, and she's the one who's championing, pushing it and championing, doing more admin, getting more admin involved in the peer exchange. So.
And was it a consensus that did others feel like it was too long, or did others feel like it was the right amount of time, or like I don't want to shorten it if that was just the feedback from 2 or 3 people, but others like felt like it was the perfect amount of time.
I think it was too long. But I think that it would depend on what people were actually coming to see. So I mean, like having a conversation before the week started would be good, so you'd know.
And I think that's the key right there, because some people their input was, "Hell, I'd love to spend another week there with those guys," and others were, 2 days, I got what I needed. So Ian's comment of coordinating beforehand, which hopefully we tried to impress upon you. We put the schedule out there. Everybody knew well in advance where they were going. So coordinating together on, here's what we need, here's what we want, here's what we hope to get, type of thing. And again, I think it'd be just, based on the individual. Maybe a field guy needs a week at an agency. Maybe an auditor just needs a day or 2 with another auditor to clarify some things, so on and so forth. And so again, moving forward, our idea of letting this peer exchange become your guys' baby, we'll always be here to help you facilitate it, but, letting you guys kind of make those decisions about, okay, I got an auditor who's maybe weak in this area, and I know there's a strong auditor at Agency X. Probably 2 days with that auditor will bring him up to speed and so forth.
The other thing I think would be beneficial would be to provide a call list, or, give us the information so we can get in touch with the people that are coming. We didn't have, I think it was a little bit more difficult to coordinate it.
Okay.
That's great, and that's actually something we came up with was, some kind of contact list beforehand. So we'll definitely make note of that.
And then the other thing that, so with Jesse, when he came up, we created a shared folder in Google Drive. It'd be kind of nice if some of the stuff that we actually reviewed be uploaded to the IWTC site, like the forms and things that we looked at. 'Cause I know everybody's got a lot of useful information. It's just getting it shared and understanding where and when you would use it.
Right. Brad will have to chime in on that because apparently there's probably going to be a problem with our IWTC website here in the near future.
Yep, that's right.
So would we still be able to use the website for what Ian just requested?
I'll know more Thursday.
Okay.
But, yeah, there's a reasonable chance that it's going to get taken away.
Cool. Well, not cool, but
Yeah.
I'm at least making a note here of a couple of these things so that we can look for a way to see if there's something we can do to share them.
We'll still have access to the LMS, guys. I don't want anyone to panic. Like, oh my God, we won't be able to use that anymore. We still plan on utilizing that, but basically all the other features of the website might not be under our control anymore.
I don't want to lose the LMS.
That's right.
When Netflix is down, I don't know what to do with myself. There was a comment in the chat that one person felt theirs was too short, so it sounds like we need to give just some consideration to the different roles.
And I believe that's the key, is the different roles. So again, as I get the surveys back, when I put those out today, we'll evaluate all that information and we'll keep you in the loop. And it sounds to me like, based off of everything, that Peer Exchange was a valuable tool for training, and that we'll more than likely keep doing it. We'll just kind of see what the surveys say and kind of go from there with it. So I appreciate everyone who participated. I appreciate all of you who got your checklist back to me in a timely fashion. Again, those that still owe me one, I'll be looking for you today. So yeah, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Wade. All right. So I'll just jump into, this is my normal slide on production. Brad, do you want to talk through this one, or would you like me to talk this one and then go to your slide?
You got it.
Okay. So this is production as of this was actually as of 4 o'clock yesterday. So if anything got turned in, this did include a couple that hadn't.
No, I updated it this morning.
Oh, okay. So the numbers, we might be off by a unit or two if there was any update. I did include.
It was updated this morning.
Oh, this slide was not updated this morning though.
It's got 43. That's right.
Okay, cool. Then we are correct. So this is production as the end of April, and then on the left, just each agency basically turned in a number for every month. You know what their goal was going to be for each agency every month, and so the blue represents the actual goal. You know, whatever each agency anticipated that they were going to do based on, you know, crisis and everything else that comes up during the year. And then the red is the actual production. And these are obviously combined for everybody, but so you can see we're falling short of the goals. And then I also laid the next 2 months or through the end of the year so you can see what the goal looks like. So through the end of the year, based on everybody's numbers, we actually, I think people are expecting things to taper off a little bit, but we're going to have to finish a little stronger than that. But yeah, and then over here on the right, this is the running total. This one is a little more meaningful to me because it's easier to understand. But basically, as of the end of the month yesterday, we're at a total of 301. Based off of everybody's goals, we should be at 373. So as of right now, we're behind 72 units. And then if you look for the rest of the year, really we're at 301 and we have to get to 453. And that is the next 2 months, basically we need 34% of the whole year's production in order to meet our goal. So we have a heavy lift, and it's going to take everyone to do it. If your agency has the ability to finish a few extras, that will help. But it's going to take every person at every agency to do all that they can to help accomplish the goal for the year. Does anybody have any questions on this or any comments they want to address? All right, and as always, we really do sincerely appreciate all of your efforts and everything you guys are doing. We've seen this. This is a lot of people are really focusing on this and doing what they can to accomplish the goal. And please continue and you know, do everything you can. And we really appreciate your efforts in that. So, all right, Brad, you want to talk through this slide?
Sure. Yeah, there you go. So the final numbers are in. We got the additional money from the HEAT program, our DOE money. We're about $8.5 million for next year. And since we're talking production, look at the right. You are going to be asked to do more because there's more money. And so if you're falling short this year and you're not taking steps today to figure out why you're falling short and what you can do to come closer to achieving your contracted goals, you're definitely going to fall short again. And I don't know how many times I have to say this. We cannot keep setting goals based off of the per unit average that we don't make that decision, that the feds make that decision. and continue to do less with more. Because if you look at the funding over the last 3 years, it has steadily increased, and our production has not. It makes it very hard for me to answer certain questions to people. That being said, this is where I get to talk out the other side of my mouth. We still have to have quality jobs. And I think our monitoring has shown that that is taking place, that we are turning in units that are being done to the standards and the expectations. But at some point, we need to be able to find efficiency through repetition or something to start meeting those production goals as a state. So, like I said, the Questar numbers are a little off. That doesn't include the carryover that was split up and handed out. So it's just the 3/4. Anybody have any questions about the money? Quiet.
Everybody's just pleased to have money, right?
There's a few that are probably not expecting that sizable amount, but with the extra DOE and LIHEAP money, it turned into about $1 million when it was all said and done. There's going to be a little bit, the admin on the LIHEAP this year works out to about 9.3% total. That'll make some of your management happy. Crisis is going to be about the same, probably a little bit higher, but I've already had conversations with Sue. Next year we will it was too late in the year to give any money back to her. We just couldn't do it this late in the year. With her offices already shut down, there's trying to hand back stuff to her with her not having any way to expend it. It's just not being a good partner. So, but next year's LIHEAP crisis money will be less. We're going to take a smaller chunk from her. So, likewise too, it'll be interesting to see as the water heaters are starting to pick up, and we are going to get into cooling season. We've opened up the cooling crisis rules a little bit, give you more opportunities to expend those funds as well. So hopefully that'll offset. We'll see.
Anybody have any other questions on this one? Or on funding or production in general? All right. I had 2 more things for this meeting. There was some clarification from DOE on an issue, and then I wanted to show you guys we installed an ASHRAE fan in the kitchen at the training center, which looks like it might be a good option in some cases. So I wanted to share those 2 things. So last month, I showed you guys this slide, and then spent a fair amount of time trying to explain the issue that was going to be the issue we were going to have to deal with. Well, we got some further clarification for DOE, and it simplifies things. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understands that. So last month, the question, we sent a question to DOE, and it says, the question was, if the ECM triggering a health and safety measure was funded by non-DOE funds, can we still use DOE health and safety funds to pay for the health and safety measure? And the answer that came back was no, and we talked a lot about that, but we got some clarification from DOE, and they basically said, that was incorrect. So here is their answer. So same question. If we had an ECM and it triggered a health and safety measure, but the ECM was funded with non-DOE funds, could we use DOE funds to pay for the health and safety measure? The answer is yes, provided the primary energy conservation purpose is preserved, and regardless of which funding source pays for the energy conservation measure, DOE funds can be used to pay for any or all energy-related health and safety hazards. So basically, we don't have there. We won't be having to check and say, well, you had a LIHEAP ECM. You know, did you pay for it with LIHEAP funds, or you had a DOE ECM? Did you pay for it with the right funds? Basically, as long as there is one or more energy conservation measure, and as long as you have, well, that doesn't matter. As long as there's one or more energy conservation measure, then we call it weatherization, right? And as soon as it's a weatherization job, then you can use DOE money to pay for health and safety measures. So you still have to be careful if you start working on a non-audited measure, then anything health and safety related to that must be paid for out of those other funding sources. But when we're talking about weatherization, if there's an ECM that triggers an HSM, you can pay for that HSM with either DOE or LIHEAP. Does that make sense?
So basically anything that SIRs as an ECM, you can pay for with DOE?
Yes, anything that SIRs, that is the technical definition of an energy conservation measure. But really what it is that, let me back up one slide here. So last month we talked about how, because we asked DOE this question and DOE said no, and basically they said if you have an ECM that you pay for with DOE money, then you could use DOE money to pay for any related health and safety measures, or you could use LIHEAP. But if you flip the coin over, it didn't work the other way. They said if you have an ECM and you paid for that ECM with LIHEAP, then you were not allowed to use DOE money to pay for the health and safety that was triggered by it. But anyway, they gave us clarification this month, and they said, you know, on second thought, you can. Like if you had a LIHEAP measure, it's okay for you to use DOE money to pay for its associated health and safety measure. So, does that make sense?
Yes.
I hope so. We spent some time on it last month because it was to do what they were saying was going to be very onerous. What this means is just keep doing what you've been doing. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
So just wanted to clarify that so that nobody's going into any extra great lengths to try and do what we talked about last month, because we don't have to do it. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about was for those of you who are at the Training Palooza in February, which was like everybody, Corey Kochenovic, I think, he had this slide, and it didn't have the red X on it, but he had this slide up, and was it Corey or was it Paul? One of them shared this slide and talked about some...
Paul.
Yeah, it was probably Paul.
Paul Francisco.
He talked, because he was talking about ASHRAE stuff, right? And he shared this slide, and he said, hey, there's a couple of kitchen range exhaust hoods that would meet ASHRAE compliance. And so I followed up on these two products, and I learned what I could learn about them. The Brone that has the red X on it doesn't quite work very well for ASHRAE. It does meet the ASHRAE requirements, but I don't think it's a good product for our program. And the reason, two reasons. One of them, the lighting on it, it comes from the factory with 4 halogen bulbs in it, which is less efficient. But the main thing is that it does not have a switch to like let you have ASHRAE. It doesn't have like a way to leave it on continuous. Basically, you can turn it on. You can turn it on its lowest setting, which is, and you know, at 100 CFM or less, it's only 3 zones, but it's that simple switch on the front of it where the clients can walk up and turn it on and off as they want. So it's not really a fantastic product for what we're trying to do. It would still meet ASHRAE, and if you run into issues where you needed to do it, it will meet the standard. But I looked into this Air King ECQ, and it's actually kind of a cool product. So we bought one, we put it in the training house, and just wanted to share a little bit about what I learned about it, and then what we learned when we installed it. So, so the Air King, if you look on their website, I think there are 2 suppliers listed in the state of Utah. One of them is based in St. George, and I don't remember who they are. And the other one was Clark Wholesale, which is based out of Salt Lake. And so I ended up contacting Clark. I know Ian has purchased through Clark, purchased some of these. So if you have anything to add to this, feel free. But yeah, I reached out to Clark, and they were about $312 per fan. You can get them in, chrome, black, or white. And on my first call to them, they said that Air King does not stock this item, and they basically manufacture them after there's an order placed. So this is a product that is not in huge demand yet. So it takes about 6 weeks to get them. So plan ahead if you're going to use this product. The only other place we found them was on a website called build.com, and they had a few in stock, and that's how we were able to purchase one. But is that anything else to add with Clark, Ian?
We were told that they build them at the end of the month. So place your order before then. We were able to get a few of them, and we installed one in a home. Seemed to work fine.
Okay, awesome. One of the things I didn't really know was that the oven range hoods, I just had never paid attention. They come in like multiple sizes. So this one's available in a 24-inch wide, a 30-inch wide, and a 36-inch wide. And I think it was Ian mentioned some mobile homes have them even wider than that, or like a 42-inch or something. So anyway, whatever the application is, you're going to want to be aware of. You're going to actually want to measure what's going on in the house if you think you're going to use one of these. So Air King, this is what they had on their website. And I'll show you a picture of the ASHRAE switch, but they have a switch on there, and you can set it at 30, 50, 70, or 90 CFM. And when the one we installed in the training house at 90 CFM, it was quiet. I used my little very not accurate app on my phone to measure the decibels, and the Air King was putting out less than half of the decibels that the Panasonic fan was. So the Panasonic fan was a little dirty. Anyway, it's very quiet. It's impressively quiet. But we weren't actually getting this amount of air movement. So I'll go through that in a second. It does have, they say their high speed is at 250, and the noise obviously goes up when you turn it on. And then the fan power is 75 watts max, and then it comes with a 2-pin CFL bulb in it. I don't know if we'd have an opportunity to modify that, but either way, a CFL's fairly efficient bulb. So I think so this is the ASHRAE switch, and this is what I like about it, is that the ASHRAE switch is up inside the fan, and when you're done, there's one screw that puts this housing on and basically covers the ASHRAE switch up. So when you leave the house, it's on. At the same time, though, you can do a little bit of client ed and show them if they want to access this, they can, but I like the one screw as a deterrent to encourage the client to just leave it on. The other thing that's really nice is it's got the grease filters here, and I think between a furnace filter, cleaning a bathroom fan, or taking a grease filter out, this one might win. I think the clients may be more likely to pull the grease filter out, put it in their dishwasher, and put it back in than the other two. So there's hope there that they might actually clean the filter from time to time. And then as mentioned, this is what the switch looks like, and this is the switch after it's been touched, mauled by dirty hands. But it's at 30, 50, 70, 90. There's a vertical and a horizontal switch, And there's very little in the book about what that means. What we learned though is when you switch it to vertical, it ramps up a little bit higher. And so obviously vertical and horizontal is based on how you're installing it, but we noticed that we get more CFM if you turn it to vertical than horizontal. So if you need to make a minor tweak once you've got it installed, that switch may help you. And then there's a switch down at the bottom which just lets you turn the ASHRAE on or off. So if you don't want the continuous fan on, you just show your client, like, you know, undo this one screw, flip this switch, and it'll shut off. So I kind of like that. This was at the training center. We have this 6-inch ductwork that basically just goes up here into the attic and out. Where this is outside of the thermal envelope, this needs to be insulated and air sealed. And then you just have your normal switches here, so it's on continuous, but then you can switch this up and turn it to a higher speed. And we measured, so this is what they were touting. At their high speed says 250. We only got 142 CFM at the training center, so we were only getting 142 through this 6-inch duct. But ASHRAE says your local ventilation in a kitchen has to be at least 100. So this still meets that local ventilation requirement of 100. And then we set it on 90, and on 90, blowing through this 6-inch duct, we were only getting somewhere around 50 to 56 CFM. We were getting different measurements there. So we were not getting as much air as they said we would get. So if your ASHRAE calculation is requiring, 80 or 90, and you're trying to do it with this, you may not reach that. I'm hoping you'll have better results with like a 7-inch duct or something, but I don't know, because I don't know if you can get any bigger here. I'm not sure where we're getting choked down. So I'd love to know, as you guys try this, kind of what you guys are getting in the field to help out. And then the other thing was that we plugged it into the kilowatt meter. If your watt price is 11.5 cents per watt, then to run this thing, I switched it to 90. So if you just ran it continuous on 90, it would cost your client $14.10 a year to leave that fan on all the time. So this fan, the price of running this fan is right there with the price of running a Panasonic. So kind of cool. It took, I don't know, because the ductwork was already there, and I think the stars just aligned for us, it took about 15 minutes to install the fan. But then we need to spend some time working on the vent. But any questions on this one?
Why is there a little vent in the front of that thing? Can you switch it to the air that comes out the front too?
Yes, we played with that, and there's a little piece of metal that you can put in there so that the air does not come out of that. We're assuming that this trim piece is used on multiple models of their fans, and probably this housing as well is used on multiple models. So I think that's just simply, that comes from their manufacturing process, to where you could just recirc and just use it as a grease filter if you needed to. But anyway. Other questions? Cool. If you guys are using products like this and you feel like, there's never going to be one perfect solution for ASHRAE. But, if you guys have other solutions, give me a call. I'd love to come check them out, and we can, share them with everybody in this meeting. The other thing I really like about this one is I feel like because of the local exhaust requirements, there's an opportunity with this to reduce the amount that we are ventilating when we're done. In fact, I was talking with Jason down in Richfield yesterday. He ran across a house, and I don't know if this would actually work on that particular house or not, but we were kind of asking this question. So he had, basically, if you went into a house and there's no ventilation in the kitchen, the ASHRAE local exhaust requirement for that kitchen is that you have 100 CFM exhaust. If you don't have any exhaust there and there's no window, then your deficit, you have a deficit of 100, which 25% of that is 25 CFM. So what your ASHRAE calculator is going to tell you, the whole house just needs 50 CFM of ventilation, but since you don't have local exhaust in the kitchen, you have to add 25 more CFM. So instead of just ventilating 50, you now have to do continuous ventilation at 75 CFM. Now, if instead of installing a Panasonic in a bathroom, if you said, you know what, we're going to put this in a kitchen, now you drop your local deficit down and by that 25 CFM. So now you're only ventilating that whole house at 50 instead of 75. And I feel like one of our goals with our ASHRAE really needs to be, we're going to tighten up as much as we can, and then let's figure out the very best way to ventilate this house and to keep the ventilation at a minimum, because that's costing our clients real money. It's not just the cost of the power, it's the cost of that mechanical ventilation too, which we don't ever account for. So I'd encourage you guys to put this in your ASHRAE toolbox and use it appropriately. Find ways to, reduce the amount of mechanical ventilation we're doing so that we can save our clients money. So I think that's all we had. Yeah. Anything else that we need to address before we end the meeting? Cool. Well, thank you guys for attending. I hope this was useful. Yeah, next month we'll probably spend the first 15 minutes of the meeting kind of starting our field guide specific training, and then we'll also have a main topic as well. So anyway, thanks so much, you guys. Thanks for all you're doing. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.